the native one does. Caleb, you're more familiar with what the native one does, so you can maybe tell me what I did wrong here. But let's say we were to just, or why it is that I had to make my own instead of using yours. I can't remember, but it's very, very simple, and I can paginate anything by just basically keeping track of the page, the per page, and then paginate basically says, okay, give me the full number of them, and then skip however many pages, and then take however many per page. So this is very similar to what with pagination does, but again, for some reason, I wasn't able to use the native one. So
I said, yeah, I muted myself. That's interesting. I would like to look more at that. The with pagination that I made is super simple. It basically tries to basically just make the arrow paginate work, and the rest is up to you. So I swap out. Basically, instead of deriving the page out of the query string and writing it to the query string, I just do that with Livewire data. So I don't actually add anything smart.
And it's possible that something I did, it might have something to do with the fact that our pagination information is changing while we're still in the same component. I can't remember what it was, but in the end, and it's possible that I just didn't actually need to do it, but in the end, it was very easy and very PHP-y to just say, I'm going to build my own pagination and not worry about it. Like I felt I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of magic. No, I didn't. The only downside is that like when I'm paginating something, I end up calling this paginate instead of paginate in the query, which who cares?
Gotcha.
It's not a big deal.
Which you could probably fix. There's have you seen the custom paginator option? Like you can change the resolver with like a callback.
Yeah. I'm sure I could. I wasn't going to do it now, but yes, you're 100% right. I'm confident that I could do it and use that to make like a simpler syntax. So before I move on, Marissa says, is Livewire getting the point where you'd recommend to use it in production for enterprise?
Oh, probably. Well, I'd say wait a month. I'm going to launch 1.0 at Laracon online in late February. And by that time, right now it's ready. It's already being used in production. It's been public for over 6 months. It's been worked on for over a year. People message me all the time that they're using it in production. So it works. That's that. But I would say hold on because it's not what I want it to be. And my deadline for that is late February. So there's going to be a little bit of a couple slight API changes. So if it makes no difference to you, wait until late February. If not, get started now. It's not going to change that much. Yeah.
And we got a future plans for Livewire. I assume the answer to that is tune into Laracon Online.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So that was the biggest refactor I did since last time. I pulled out this paginates thing, but it's nothing complicated. Everyone can see. We had already started building all these same methods last week. And it's just keeping track of what page we're on, how many per page, building the queries for us, and then also giving the stuff that we need in the view. How many pages do we have total, and then a next page helper, and then a previous page helper, and our action. And those things allow us in the view to say, I don't even remember where it is now. Let's see. We don't need this anymore. It's not in the package card. Oh, because this is the wrong one. I want package list. All right. So total records, package count, page out of, and then ceiling package count divided by package. So we're doing our math in here. We're not getting that magic kind of links thing that we're doing. But in the end, it's very simple to just build a next page and a previous page. All these things are doing is just calling these methods, this next page and previous page, and those methods are just in here, and all they're doing is modifying this page count, and that's it. Everything else is just magic for us. All right, so I think that's it. So what we were talking about last time, Caleb, was the idea of nesting components. And so before we maybe dive into the really deep depths of nesting these big components, the package list and the popular and recent packages, I had stopped at a few of these because I looked at something and said, well, quite a few of these to-dos right here are they're view components inside other view components. And so I thought, this is a moment we're going to have to stop and have this really complicated conversation about how to nest Livewire components inside of other ones. But just a bit ago, I realized that something that's a view component inside a view component often is really just a blade partial inside of a Livewire component, not a Livewire component inside of another Livewire component. So I figured let's do this title icon one real quick to show what it looks like to do literally just blade partials in there. And just recognize how simple it is to potentially like do nesting without them actually being specifically Livewire-y. And then maybe I want to kind of dig in with you about like when do you ever actually need to do like Livewire components inside of other ones? Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, anybody, if you're having any trouble following at all, just let us know in the notes. I can answer about the high level stuff, but anything Livewire specific, Caleb can answer while I'm coding as well. So,
And I only see Twitch because I'm looking at your screen and I'm on Twitch.
Oh,
I don't know
right.
how I would see YouTube.
If it's YouTube, I'll just read it out to you.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, so in here, basically, once we get down to it, we have this livewire.partials.package card. So this package card right here in Vue is an actual, so we've got package index.vue, and then we've got package card.vue. So package index.vue is basically a list, and then it passes all these things down into this package card view component. So in the Vue world, we've got a parent view component that then pulls in a child view component. And so when I thought, oh, I'm going to iterate over these package cards, I'll be doing the same thing here. But I realized that like this package card doesn't need to be a Livewire component because all it is just HTML. There's nothing, it's not getting new AJAX requests every time it pulls one of these. It's already got the data. So all I did was I just went, and I asked this in the last call, I was like, is there anything against me making more Vue or Blade files in this? And you're like, no. So we currently only have a single Livewire component, meaning a single PHP class under the Livewire world, but we've already got, I mean, how many is this? Like 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. We already got 4 views, and we're going to build more. And so I think that that's a really helpful kind of way of thinking about it is like we are like, we have a single component with a ton of Blade. So this is still Blade that we're working with. So if I want to make a new one here, I just make package-card.blade.php. So I did that. And in here, there's nothing Livewire about this at all. This is literally just Blade. And so I realized it's the same thing. Like if I want to, so what was that thing we were building? Is this little title icon, just so everyone knows what it looks like. It's a little Vue component we have that makes it really easy to build these little icons here, right? And so let's go look at what that looks like. I think it's title icon.vue. And there's not really that much going on here. There is some conditional logic, which we'll have to talk about a little bit. But let's just grab this template real quick, and we're going to make a new Vue partial called title icon.blade.php. And in title icon, we're going to throw this template in here. And so, okay, so let's talk a little bit about bringing logic in. Oops, I can't do that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about bringing logic in. So let's say in title icon, we've got these things that are making stuff really helpful for us. Now, a default prop is super easy because we're just going to default it in our Blade, right? But how about this kind of stuff where we're generating a class, like a list of classes? Some of them are going to be easy, right? It's just going to be conditional stuff in our class list in Blade. But how about this kind of stuff here where we're kind of looking stuff up out of an array? How would you handle that?
Yeah, so without giving too much away, Laravel's going to make all this way better at Laracon Online.
Yeah.
So tune into that. So the real answer is Laravel magic. But for now, the answer is exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, okay.
And a little PHP block at the top. I've made my own little abstractions that like do like attribute merging and optional parameters into a component and stuff like that. And it all sucks, but I don't know. It's not the worst thing in the world, a little block at the top. It's sort of become a pattern for me. Like what you're doing is a lot of includes I have a little PHP block at the top, and I just do little small data manipulations in there.
And you're literally just basically like this, where it's just kind of like,
exactly.
Yeah. Because what we're talking about is basically like this data and this computed are really basically just on mount or on change. Pull information out of here, and we don't need this information anywhere else. So, all right, so let's see what we were doing here. So CSS class is going to be pulling something out of this, and then I assume that this is, where's these, the additional classes are coming down here. Okay, so let's start by building it exactly the same way that it is in the Vue, and then see if there's a reasonable refactor. So CSS class equals icon sizes, and then package this dot size. I think it's going to be, it's a prop that's going to be potentially passed in. So size or small, right? And so that's allowing us to set the default there. So if they pass in size, they can. Otherwise, they end up just getting small. All right, so we've done that computed prop. So where it asks for this .css class, we're now just going to do CSS class. Okay, taking a look at the chat. So after these Blade changes, yeah, me too. All right, so image v if image. So I guess some of these have images? Huh? I feel like I've never seen any of these have images. I feel like they all are just the letter. I think that might have been like an idea we came up with but never used, so I'm going to pull it out. Okay, so we've got a div here that's basically going to be for the letter. Thanks for following, Poco5543. So this right here is basically joining CSS class and then there's no image additional classes string, right? So converting view. I've been doing a lot of converting view to blade lately, so that's what we're doing here. Background color.
Dots to arrows, colon to no colon.
Yep. Color. And the color has a default here, right? It's this. Okay, cool. So what we're doing right now, and then the classes, we want to basically say, give me a combination of this CSS class thing, right? Wasn't that what that was? Yep. Oh, what? Wrong? Oh, whatever. Okay. CSS class, and then also has a series of additional classes if you don't have an image. And I'm pretty sure all of them don't have images, so we're just going to get rid of that whole concept of no image and ignore it for now. Okay, cool. Finally, let's come in here and make this a little bit easier to see. And sorry, everybody, I know we're a little bit in the weeds here, but hopefully we'll get back out in just a second. So we want to do a little bit of manipulation here. So we're basically going to be echoing the title, except we're going to want to run string replace. Does anybody remember the syntax for that?
Nope.
I think that's it. And then, God, it's so annoying dealing with like really nice primitive objects. And then and now we got to do our horrible, nasty world. Okay, so we want the subster. Oh my goodness, string int start length. Okay, so that, and then 0, 1, and then
that has actually already been teased on Twitter, so I think that's all right. That strings are also going to get way better.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that part, so that's great. I'm very happy about that because this right here, that was like, look at the difference between the nice JavaScript way of doing this and then this jank right here. Oh, it's so nasty.
I messaged Taylor basically the same thing. I was like, this is why everyone hates Blade, is because PHP is so annoying.
Yeah, it really is. All right,
stuff like that, for presentational stuff like that. Go on.
Yeah. So again, we're building these components, but this is just Blade. There's nothing Livewire-y about what we're doing right now. So this is going to be Livewire. Sorry, everybody. My finger, and anyone who doesn't know, my fingers are still taped together, so typing is not easy right now. Livewire.partials. Yeah, right. Title, icon. And then now we want to pass it some data. So because it's Vue, thanks for following Normal Edance. Thank you, Jonas. Remember the colon on the first div in the partial as well. Oh, thanks. Oops. All right, so what data are we passing in? It's the same thing. We're just continuing to convert. I thought I turned off paste, format on paste, because I didn't. We're just continuing to convert Vue to Blade here. And the thing is, we're not converting Vue to Livewire. We haven't touched anything Livewire specific for a while. String manipulation tools look in Laravel 7. Oh, that's nice, Marissa. I didn't know that was already out. Okay, so color equals package.accent. So we're going to say color equals package.accent. Except I think because we're doing that, we're still dealing with this instead. Size equals small. And then title equals package name. Okay, so I think that's what we're dealing with. We're including this thing, we're passing the data in, we're crossing our fingers, and then we're refreshing. Good morning in Mexico City. Do you find the little catches annoying? Then I'll stop. No, catches are help. Hey, look at that. So we don't have accent, but that's okay because I haven't built the accent color thing yet. So they're all going to be the same color. But that was ridiculously easy, and that was Blade. I just can't keep getting over how much I love Blade and how wonderful Livewire is in that it allows me to write lots of Blade. Like, I'm super happy there. There is another regex we have here where it basically strips out Nova or for Nova out of the name of all these because some of them have them in their name that we wanted to get rid of them. So yeah, it would be John. So if y'all are interested in doing that kind of basically syntaxy stuff, check out Chris Pitt, assert Chris on Twitter. He is always doing amazing and crazy stuff with he's got this thing called Pre, and I know he and Nuno were working together for a while on another PHP related thing. I don't know if it ever went anywhere, but if you want different syntax in your PHP and you're willing to kind of do a little bit of work for it, Chris Pitt is the man to follow, no question. He's like one of the most innovative people I know in terms of all that kind of stuff. So. All right, so same thing here where we could go in here and basically spend a whole bunch of time doing string manipulation, but that's not very fun for us today. What I wanted to show was this thing that I thought was going to be this whole complicated thing with pulling in another Livewire piece turns out to literally just be Blade. Cool. So same thing will be true about the star rating system and any of these other things. Not worth us spending a whole bunch of time on that. So let's step back from here. Well, let's commit it real quick and then talk a little bit about nesting in a more complicated context. So let's see, what do we do?
I'll say that the like you're sort of realizing this as you go, and that's one of the issues with having like built it all and already thinking this way is like I try to say like it's just Blade, and when I say it's just Blade, I really mean it. Like I mean like it's Blade, like do everything you would normally do in Blade, and then when you need magic, use Livewire. But it's a hard thing to understand at first, and with with Vue, you think like Livewire is an alternative to Vue, and with Vue, your main abstraction is a new component. With Livewire, that's not the case. You have plenty of abstractions. You can extend a class. You can add a trait. You can use a Blade include, a Blade component, all sorts of stuff. So
and that's
a little bit of a different mental framework.
And I appreciate you saying that because honestly, I know that like the whole big thing we're going to talk about today is about this whole nesting components thing, but I really like this. Like, and so we could talk about it for the sake of talking about the edges of Livewire, but like, does it ever make sense to nest a Livewire component inside another Livewire component?
Yeah, sometimes it does. So the reason that, like any time that you would nest a Vue component, a lot of times like you have a big gnarly Vue template and you go, I want to clean it up, and you maybe put some things that could be inside of a loop, inside of a nested component and things like that. And really they're like stateless components or functional components. The props just pass down. So any of that type of extracting, like you just discovered, that's a Blade include or a Blade component because it already has that exact behavior. Of just trickling down, but any child that needs state, obviously, if it needs trait, or maybe not obviously, if your child needs state and your parent needs state and you need to extract both of those things, then you have two Livewire components. And Livewire components you can nest them, but you can't pass a prop from one to another and it be reactive in the sense that if we had made a parent component for this entire page that had the tag selection in it, and then the two different children, that one was the popular and recent stuff, and then the other was just the standard layout. It's not like you could keep all the tag state management at the top component, and then every time it changes, it would trickle down automatically. And if you think about it, this is one of those things that it's hard to really see why that is without understanding a little bit how Livewire works. But if you think about it, anytime the parent makes a state change, I would need to change everything below it. So, and because it's all AJAX related, I either have to send the entire component and its children on the request to do that, or I have to do more AJAX requests to trigger, children and say, hey, this thing updated, read, fetch, and there's just so much extra resource intensiveness there. So what I decided to do was a simple event system. You can nest components. They're completely separate from each other. So if you have a big parent component and 100 nested Livewire components, and you make a little change in any one of those, you're not re-rendering the whole thing, just that little bit. So it's actually, they're a helpful abstraction sometimes when you don't want every Livewire refresh to pass the entire DOM back and forth. So you can extract little parts into separate components to keep the AJAX requests thin and performant. That's one note. And like I said, the event system. So anytime you need to communicate back and forth from parent to children or sibling to sibling, you emit an event from one component and listen in another. And that's how you communicate. So that's kind of a little bit more of the implementation, but that's how I generally think of it. I'll explain to you one specific example, but I want to hear what you think about that first.
So if you think it's interesting, I wonder whether it would be fun to just do a really quick proof of concept of the problem by trying to make a child component, and all it does is just somewhere in the corner says the tag we're currently viewing is blah, 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 and then click around and see when it does and doesn't work and what we would need to do to make it work, just so that we can actually kind of like talk through it and have this kind of information out there if anybody wants to see it. Is that worth doing?
Yeah, make a dummy little component with some small stuff and pop it into this package list component. Yeah.
And Mark, that's exactly what I was thinking. If you want to start a package, if you want to interact with a card and then have it bubble up, or like we were talking, so what we were talking about last week is if a parent component had everything in it but this center content, when you change these package types, then you're supposed to be changing the information in here. That's when it becomes a problem. So, all right, but real quick, Crosdale, am I attending Laravel Live UK? I don't know. I'd love to, but I'm not sure yet. And I think somebody asked the same thing about Madrid. I don't yet know all of the conferences I'm attending this year. I don't know about you, Caleb, but I definitely Laracon US and Laracon Live for sure. So,
yeah, those are the two for me. I don't know the other ones.
Yeah. All right, so let's go make a dummy component. So we actually would be doing make Livewire. Or is it Livewire
so
make?
Before you name it dummy, it's make Livewire, Livewire make, or whatever you want. Before you create that, let's name it star or something. We can at least just call it star if it's simple enough to implement.
Well,
starring or something.
Interestingly, while that would be kind of interesting, starring doesn't actually reflect up to the parent in any way or down, because right now if you were to star something, it wouldn't actually make any impact in synchronizing data between the two. Gotcha. So we would have to make up a new concept, whereas right now if I were to say for some reason I really want to show the tag over here all the time, that actually could be something, I think, right? Because it would be in a child Livewire component. Well, I guess why would that not be a blade partial anyway?
Whatever, we'll just make
cool.
one and
we'll
emit an event, and even if we just say hello world, it'll be
tag shower. Oh, except it's lowercase, right? Tag shower.
Yeah, it supports everything in case people mess up. But
well, this is fun because shower looks like shower, so now everyone's going to wonder why there's a tag shower. All right, so tag shower, let's say right now all it's going to do is show the tag, but maybe eventually it'll also like actually show you like a list of things based on this tag, right? So it'll actually be doing its own queries that are actually useful and interesting to have like in its own state. So all right, so we've got our tag shower. Let's get out of a few of these other pieces. Tag shower. Thanks, Andy. All right, so what we would need in here is actually to have like a tag at any point. And this is the thing that we're trying to figure out. How do we get this passed down from the parents? So let's go to our package list component. So how would we include it? Would just do like Livewire as well here? Like Livewire, tag shower, and I don't remember, do we pass initial data in like this or no?
No, you just pass it in as parameters.
As
sorry. Yeah, it's like pass in the tag as the second parameter to the Livewire directive.
Oh, just like this?
No key values, basically.
Got it. Okay. And that'll show up in the constructor?
Yes.
Okay.
In the mount method.
Yeah. So do we actually have a tag? Yes, we have a tag. Okay, cool. In the mount method, not in the constructor.
Right. Yep.
Okay. So
you never use the constructor in a Livewire component. Anything you would normally think to do in there, you would do in the mount method.
Got it.
And it's all dependency injected too, if you like to dependency inject.
Nice. Okay, so in theory, we'll see the tag there, but when we change the tag, it wouldn't change it, right? Right. So we're changing the tag, and it's not synchronizing down here. So this would be our magic spot for it. So you said, so the first problem, just for everybody to note, is that if you want to have things where, let's say, actually, let's just do this real quick so that it seems a little bit more realistic. For some reason, we wanted to have this other thing that shows you all of the packages, top one package with this tag, top package with this tag. And then this will be something like package name. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to do oops, what'd I break? Undefined variable package. That's fine. So here we're going to pass in this package thing. What are we actually doing? I think I have a by tag. I think I have that. Something like that. I think I built that last time. Scope tagged, not by tag. Okay, cool. So now we're basically saying, give me the first package. We're not actually saying the most popular, but whatever. We could random it if we something. But yeah, so package tagged with this tag, give me the first one. So now we could actually imagine this being a useful thing because first or fail maybe. Oh, because nothing's tagged first. Okay, well let's just do.
You could wrap the parent in an if statement, I think.
Oh yeah, that's well. Let's do this for right now. No packages with this tag.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep. Forget that.
Cool. So all top packages with this tag, no packages with this tag. Cool.
Nice.
Obviously, this is not what it would look like, but like let's imagine this is actually a useful thing. So what we'd like to do is the moment I switch this tag to be card, all of a sudden I want this to say card and show me the top package of the tag card. But it's not going to because of the whole thing we're talking about synchronization. Okay, so let's say I am a Livewire developer. I find myself in this context. What do I do next? Is this where I'm going to talk about events?
So first note, the best thing to do here is to use a blade component or a blade include.
Sure.
Because it's just down. We know that.
If for some reason, and I don't even know what the reason would be that you couldn't do that, but yeah, totally you could just say because it's going to re-render along with the page, right?
Right. So let's say there's some,
is there a reason why this would ever happen? Yeah, go ahead.
Let's start with this and then we'll do the event thing because I do want to do that. Let's say that inside here, there's a little interaction of some kind, maybe a voting system or something that you could interact with and it would be all Livewire-y. Every request, you don't want the entire page to go back and forth. So you pull it out into a little nested component like you did. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
So the reason to pull this out is not because you want to make this request, because if every time I click this, it's going to change this, well, it's also going to change this, so just make it a blade include. So the only context we can think of so far that this would actually be valuable is if there are interactions that are PJAX that are happening in here that make sense to only affect this little space.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And that's why you were saying we should have made it star instead of top shower or tag shower.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's
more
right and not
in
just
line
right.
with when you would have done it. Yeah.
Okay, so what we can do right now, actually, to kind of make this a little reactive, and it does make sense, is how about in the parent where you do that @Livewire and pass in the tag? Livewire has it can do dynamic components per se.
Okay.
So you can key that little reference like you would in Vue with a dynamic component. You can key it so that when the tag changes, you're changing that component with a different tag passing in. So the third parameter to this, you type key as a function call. So like just key as a function. Yep. And then you pass in any key that basically says like when that key changes, this component will re-render.
So like when you're keying things in a for each loop to identify to Livewire, it's a different thing. Yeah.
That's the idiom that I'm using.
So if I do that key, it will tell it re-render.
So I would do tag ID, I think. I don't know, because it's going to to-string that tag, or because it generates. Yeah. So.
Actually, no. Tag is a string already. It's not an eloquent model right here. So yeah.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So let's hit base resource. I don't know what this lag is that I keep hitting. I have to investigate that. Hey, look at that. It just works. And when we hit this...
So that's actually a pretty powerful feature. You basically have the concept of nested components, which can be useful for like a wizard with different steps, and each step has a component. And you might have the parent that like manages what step they're on or what step to put them on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's very
cool.
So
that's one answer. And then inside of that tag component, you could have interactions for starring that tag. And then every time you switch, you'll just get a new component that... a fresh component for that tag.
Okay, very cool. And if I were to change card, it's interesting because we're getting the fresh component in this tag, but this component is within this parent component. So it's weird. Like it's keeping track of refreshing only certain sections of itself.
Yes, that is literally the most complicated part of the core.
I believe it.
Right.
Yeah, because this is within this whole thing. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and the eventing system, I imagine we could spend the next 20 minutes learning the eventing system. So maybe let's just
a really quick, easy way to demonstrate it would be if we wanted a reset button inside of that component that clears the tag.
For some reason. Yeah, totally. I think that's a great idea. Oh, no, it would be button wire click equals something, like reset tag or something. Something like that. Okay, so for some reason you wanted to be able to click on this. Do you remember the cursor? Is it cursor hand?
No clue. Cursor pointer?
Cursor hand, I guess, is it? Cursor pointer, but for some reason hand is working.
Great.
So cool. All right.
It's a button, so it would already be hand.
Yep.
I would think.
Oh, this is really... Oh, God, I love PHP. It just says, hey, we don't have that method. Great. It's because we haven't written it yet. And it's super easy to find. All right, tag shower. I'm never going to be able to call it anything else ever again. Public function reset tag. And then in here, this is we're going to emit event.
All right.
All right.
Do you want to go through the docs, or do you want me to tell you?
Why don't you just tell us? Yeah.
All right.
Because I want to get to the search component, and I know you're faster than the docs are.
This arrow emit, and then you pass in a name and optional parameters after that.
Oh, sorry. It made sense, but my brain didn't translate it to my hands correctly. Event, like, let's just say reset tag or something like that.
Perfect.
Okay, and then in our parent, we will bind a listener of some sort. Package list. All right. Was that mounted or?
So it's a protected property called listeners.
Okay.
The idiom here for me is kind of like a eloquent model, how you have like casts and stuff like that. I use these protected properties for stuff like this. And this is where the key is the thing to listen for, and the value is the method to run.
Oh, I was wondering if it was a closure. Okay, so reset tag. Give me a short closure in here, man.
Yeah, you can't in PHP. You can't do that.
It's because it's of course.
There is a method that you could use for get listeners if you needed to dynamically generate blah, blah, blah.
Love it. Reset tag would be this tag equals all. All right, so let's see if it works. This arrow should now be function, thanks. I accidentally deleted or missed a protected listeners equals, what did I miss here, everybody? It must be some obvious thing, but for some reason I'm not seeing it.
Me neither.
Oh, this is just no, that's a T-lint problem. Oh, it's in here. Hello. Thank you. Cool. All right, so we are on card. And then let's hit X and see if it goes back to all. Hey, look at that. That was so easy. Hey, speaking of Chris Pitt, he's here in the chat. What's up, Chris? Sorry, go ahead, Caleb.
Nice. Chris is like one of the top Livewire guys. He's using it in production.
Is he?
He hacks the hell out of it. He does tons of stuff.
Chris is one of the most uncelebrated, smartest people in the entire Laravel community. I love that guy.
Yep, solid guy.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So one performance note I want to make, that when you do that, open up the XHR requests.
Good, because I was actually going to say let's open it up because I'm feeling a lag at the beginning of the page, and I want to know what the lag is. Now, part of it is probably OBS just
the beginning of the
totally
page
killing.
Would be surprising to me if that was Livewire, because it's just a normal PHP run. But we'll
I wonder if it's Vue, because I still have Vue on this page, and Vue and Livewire might be battling each other out a little bit. So, all right, so you want to just watch the requests come through?
Yeah, filter XHR.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you can reload the page to demonstrate that there's no XHR requests up front.
Right, to show this is just a pure PHP render, which is one of my favorite parts about this whole thing, by the way.
Yeah. All right, so if you hit the X, now think about this before you hit it. How many, like if you do anything else, if you filter by tag, maybe filter a separate tag.
So just hit card like that.
Yeah. You see one XHR request.
Which is weird because I kind of expected two. I kind of expected one for here and then one for here.
Right. It's not.
Cool.
That's part of the weeds of
part of the magic of how painful that was.
Tracking. If you think about it, we don't need the old component. So Livewire, all right, 2-second explanation
Yeah.
to just kind of tease how ridiculous this is. I use the Blade compiler to actually store component info at compile time so that I have a reference inside of the compiled view for components, and it's ridiculous. I'll just stop there.
I mean, you could just look at this payload right here and already just begin to think about how intense the stuff that's going on right now. Tracking
so children right there is actually what's tracking.
Got it.
What things are listed there,
and then children is purely only Livewire children. It's not like Blade partials or anything like that.
Exactly. Okay. So when the Blade's going through, it's like, hey, is this child? Is the ID a new ID? If it's a new ID, I don't even remember. Honestly, It's hard to explain.
You got it working though.
Now, when you click that X button, you'll see 2 AJAX requests.
Okay. Yep. Tag shower.
Because there was one request to the nested tag component that then fired emit,
Got it.
which came back to the front end, emitted to listening components on the front end, and then those components called back to their back end to then fire the listeners.
Okay, so let's do something real quick to prove that out. I want to... Oops. Oh my gosh, this is my finger. All right, so we are in our thing now. I'm going to say, I remember HRs don't work. BR. Okay, cool. So best number. Thanks for subscribing, Netsrack91. Okay, so then we want to have another button, wire click equals, what did I say? Change internal state? Yeah, change internal state. Come on. Change internal state. Okay, so my goal here is to be able to look at that same thing there and watch only one request happen on this one. And so we should see, okay, so that's interesting to me. By changing, we do this thing and all it does is make the change in here. So when I'm clicking the button doing this, it's only re-rendering this thing, even though this thing is within this bigger thing. Only this little piece of component is getting re-rendered, and only when I do something that both changes this and then emits a change to the parent do we get those 2 calls. So when I click here, it first emits the change, or it does the XHR request that changes this, but then it also emits that event up to the parent, and then the parent also says, oops, need to re-render this as well.
Right. Exactly.
Very cool.
And that's a really intentional decision for me, that these nested components are their own islands, so that if you ever find performance an issue, you can break a section out into its own little world and keep requests and queries small.
I love it.
Okay, so here's a trick. We can turn that 2 requests into 1 request.
All right.
Instead of emitting on the back end, there's a magic emit helper for the front end that you pass into the wire click, and then it saves you the round trip of
like
going
basically
back.
This?
So it's money sign emit, and then it's exactly what you'd think. Yep.
So we'll check that same thing out again. We will filter down to a card. See, this is what I was saying. There's some kind of lag. It must, I'll believe it's Vue for now, but like, hold on. Let's actually just check. The first time I click, let's unfilter our XHR. All right, everything's rendered. Watch, it won't happen this time. I click card. Yeah, of course, it didn't break this time. So is there a time period, like time to interactive on these? And am I clicking on it before it's ready?
Maybe. I mean, Livewire is pretty fast.
Well, it might be slow because we have like Vue and other stuff, and the Vue might be causing problems because the Vue, like you can see these errors in here. Vue's looking for stuff that aren't defined. So I'm wondering whether we might be running into something where I'm clicking on something before it's ready for me. Yeah, like I just clicked on it a couple times and it didn't do anything. Now I click on it, now I get it.
I would be interested in knowing if that is purely Livewire. I would be really surprised.
And I wouldn't be surprised that what's happening is the first time I click on it, Vue is trying to capture that, and then Vue's farting out. So let's call it that for now. Sorry,
it would be. Yeah. Okay. No problem.
Okay, so let's go back to what we were working on. We were working on this XHR. So we're going to hit card. We're going to get our 1 request. Last time when we clicked on the so first change internal state, we just see last time we clicked on this, we saw 2. And this time, magic, because we use this $sign emit in line, we got a single request. I love it. Nice work, man. All right, so this was all proof of concept, but none of this is actually useful for our app. So we're going to get rid of it,
Right.
but I'm glad we did that. Somebody told me last time that there's an easy way to get rid of these uncommitted files. Do you know off the top of your head what they are?
Artisan. Oh, like in Git?
Yeah, just if you basically have uncommitted files, since they're new files, they don't get rid of when you do get reset hard head, it doesn't get rid of the new files. It only gets rid of the dirtiness of the other existing files. And then I always come through here and I'm deleting them like this, and I know that there's a way to do it, and I can never remember it. Git clean df. Okay. Thanks, Tychus and Jake Batsman. 5 seconds too late. Okay. So, is there anything else you want to hack on before we get started on that search component for 11 minutes?
Nope. I'm really glad that we got to see nested components and see their implications and how they work.
And I'm really impressed with how you handle that. That's very cool. The crush increases. So, all right. So, let's assume that this search thing we're talking about. So just for everyone to give the context of this, on nodepackages.com right now, if you hit search, it doesn't do anything on page. And it doesn't really do it until you hit search. It takes you to another page. And then on this page, it also doesn't do anything until you hit search again. So it's not, it's not reactive at all. It's just a HTTP request. So, oh, that's great. Thanks, Rob. Nah equals get reset hard. Yeah, that's exactly what I need. Let's go make that. Actually, can't do that because I don't know if I have anything hidden in secret in my extra file that you all can't see. So I'll have to do it after the stream. Okay. Actually, hold on. Let's pause and take a look at our notes. So we talked over existing refactors. We created a blade, not Livewire, child component for title icon. We discussed and stubbed out several options for eventing and nesting Livewire components, and then started the search component. So what we're talking about here is building something where when I start typing and I get like a couple letters in, it debounces and starts showing me the connected ones. So Caleb, for starters, what I was thinking is that this is a component, but we're running the same problem where I kind of want to start typing here and my search results kind of wipe everything here. Like I want this all gone. And we're now talking about this whole communication between components thing again. Mm-hmm. Should this just be a part of our package list component, or is there some way that you think of architecturally that you would have me start building this in a way that allows me to make this one hidden without having to get into really crazy, is it just going to emit an event?
I personally have it part of the same component.
Okay. All right, so we'll do that for right now. So package search is going to list here. So we're going to have basically an input, and then I know that there's binding. I can't remember what it is, so we'll just say whatever. We'll do our binding there. And then this is ID equals search or whatever. And so, hey, thanks for following, Richard Page. So this is going to be our thing. So let's open our package list, and then we're going to have a search query, right?
Yeah.
We'll just search. Okay. So if I've got a search, I'm going to be doing search results in here. Search results for query, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Search.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yep.
So what's bind again? I could look it up in the docs because we only have 7 minutes left. What does binding look like?
Wire::model.
Okay, great. So wire::model equals search, and we probably don't even need this. So let's just start here and watch that working. Thanks for following Corolla699. All right, so we should be able to start typing in this thing and just say search results for query, whatever I'm typing. It's that same thing. It must be Vue. Great. It's already debounced. Love it. Great. Yep, and this is Vue. Vue is really farting on this page. So, all right. So now we want to say if search, then do the search results. And so that way, we're now only going to see it if we've started typing here. Wait for Vue to do its thing. Great. So now all of a sudden we're getting these search results in this context, and let's just give ourselves a little Okay, so now in here we can iterate over results. For each search results. Okay, come on, search results.
So, like from a application perspective, what is wrong with just having the text box, and as you search, it filters the results?
As it filters these ones down here.
Yeah.
So that may end up being the thing that makes the most sense. Like, I think my biggest concern, like, so you basically, this text right here would end up instead saying search results, and then you'd see them here.
Yeah, or it would, like, you could sort by tag, and then the searching would actually search within that tag. Like, as you type, it just filters the query results.
I'm a little bit worried about the user experience be a little bit confusing if you're like looking at card and then you're like, you know what, I want to look at card. I instead want to find everything that has to do with like analytics, and then you're surprised because you only get the analytics cards when you in reality wanted the analytics things. But we might be able to fix that just by showing it in the user interface.
Message after like search query results or search results for query blank within group tags, and then a button,
and the button that
says like
search all tags. Yeah, let's do that. And we already have a kind of introduced this concept of like, it's like a, you know how you have like a little bubble thing that's like says card, and then there's a little X in the side of the bubble that says, and it gets rid of that tag or something like that. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So let's do this.
I'll say that the way that we're going right now is how I would do it in this component. If you made your own little island that searched like for its own specific results, that I would put in a separate component.
Yeah, but because it's sort of, it's really more filtering what we're currently working with. Yeah. Okay.
And we can just punt on the UI niceness of like, hey, clear results or whatever, because we know that. Let's see.
All right, so on all of our things, we're going to want to be able to... So I guess if you're in popular and recent, search is not going to make a lot of sense. So we'll have to push it over... we'll have to push it over to all packages if you're searching it. Let's assume you're in one of these, in this package list, and you start typing this. So all package new is first, and then basically if you get in here, you're going to say if search... Then you're going to say, you know, and like you said, we'll worry about the niceties later. You'll say filtered by search query search without the typo.
And Philly Pacro asks, is there a thing like debounce in Livewire? And there's an automatic debounce of like 150 milliseconds or something. But you can customize that if you want to show them that on wire:model. You can add dot debounce and then dot anytime. So you could do 300 ms. You have to put MS.
You have to put MS. Let's make it super long then, so you can notice it taking forever. I love that syntax.
There's tons of little tons of things that utilize that idiom of dot amount in milliseconds or in seconds. You can specify 1s or 1000 ms.
So y'all can notice I'm typing and we're not going to get that debounce for a second, which is great because especially for these types of things where you could assume they're in the middle of typing, you really don't want it to do that unless they are like pausing for a little bit.
All wire models on input text elements have a debounce. Every other element type does not have a debounce because you don't need it. You'd rather have it.
Yeah, okay.
Samuel SK, hey, does Livewire work with Twig? No, and no plans to. That sounded mean.
But
maybe someday, but people have asked, and we've basically decided it would be like kind of not the right move right now.
Yeah.
But it's possible. So if somebody really wanted to create a port and PR like an easy extension point, I would be open to it. But nobody's really wanted to put in the work.
So we would basically have to say function add search. I'm thinking this where basically every query would always get run through this, and if this search, then it would modify it.
Yeah. That's good.
And then else it would just return query. Actually, since we can return it, we don't even have to worry about that. We should just say return query. Let's say we're using search. We would just return query search this search. And then now every single time we're doing a request in any of these, we're now going to have to run the query through this add search.
Right.
And then that would be right before get. And then obviously this is all getting so janky that we're going to want to start extracting these queries that we're building out to other methods. Oops.
Yeah.
Thanks. You're about to catch that for me. And then we'll also do it on the... See, I still don't know how I want to handle it in popular and recent, but let's just throw it in there for now. So in here, we'd be building this query. This adds... Actually, we could just
Let's not do it in popular and recent.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Now that I've typed it out, it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense there. So I think still, if you start typing, it's going to bump you out of popular and recent and into the full package list. So let's just say there's a cleaner way. Oh, are we only? This is the only time we're using it right here. It's just right here. So this add search package query. Cool. That's it. All right. So I don't think I have search set up.
You want to just do a quick where title
Actually, to search, is that Scout? I think I do have Scout set up in here actually.
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool.
Okay, so we want to filter it so we only see package discovery, DISC. Oh, I thought for sure I did, because I'm pretty sure that's what we're using right now. Searchable. Doesn't that expose a search method? I don't even remember what the...
I haven't used it in a while.
Yeah, search. Oh, you must not be able to run
no
search on existing query though. Oh, is that what it is? Oof.
No, I don't know.
I don't know either. Let's worry about that later since we're out of time.
Yep.
And query.
Before, I like what you're doing. Just that's perfect. Do the where title. Can we?
How's that work?
I was going to say we should do the URL bar thing because it's so easy. But you would have to upgrade your Livewire install to.
I totally forgot about that.
0.7.
Yeah. So what he's talking about there is the because it's 1201, I really got to cut it. But is where basically when we click on card, you instead of hash card, you'd get question mark, tag equals card, and then it would. And so interesting question: if I come back to this page later, does the PHP rendered version already pull this in for me?
No, I just decided not to do that because I didn't want any weird unintended side effects or people.
But I could do that if I wanted, right?
You could pull it out of the request with request arrow query.
Does
mount
this?
Method.
I was just going to say, does mount get request passed to it, or am I just going to pull it out of
It does because it's part of the main application flow for the first render. So mount method has the actual request. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, what we would do for anybody who's I'm supposed to remember this: fun mount. And so is it basically the first thing that's passed in, or?
Oh, you could dependency inject it if you want, but I just use the request help.
Okay, got it. But it's So what we would basically say is if request
arrow query.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking has query. Then we're gonna basically to do initial scope. Although, does this stop happening once things change?
Yes. So
okay, cool.
If you think about it, this is how you make it work with the query. If you add a protected property called protected updates query string equals, then you can pass in the keys of the properties. So in this case, you could pass in search, per page, anything you want. And then when any of those change, it'll update the query string.
Okay.
And then it's up to you to seed the Livewire component from the query string in the mount method for the next.
Query string updates in updated version of Livewire. Hey, Richard. Hey, Begwa. All right, cool. Yeah, I would love to do that now. I totally meant to do it and completely forgot about it, and now we're out of time, so I am sorry. But let's see if that worked. Oh, wait. How did because we're on the wrong page. There you go, packages. That was the view page. All right, unexpected brace somewhere. Anybody notice where I made the mistake and have the unexpected brace? Oh, I never finished writing that. That's why. It would have been in here. All right. Is that how where like works? I can never remember.
I didn't know about where like.
I could be making it up.
I like where like if it doesn't exist, we should PR it.
Let's try it. If not, it's gonna be where and then the 3 parameters.
It'd be sweet if you didn't have to add those modulo.
I know, right?
I think is not in the core.
Nope, you're right.
Oh man, we got a PR where like, but then that's a breaking change because
because
if you have a field name like.
Yeah. Oh well. It's something fragment. I don't know anything about that. Discovery. Okay, that's what we wanted. Disco. Unknown item title. It's probably name. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to rush. Just trying to get this. I want to show this before I cut for today. Yeah, it's definitely this view thing. TS. Hey, look at that. It works. So if I delete it. All right, so let's try it on a specific tag now. So now we have less of them. Let's actually, hold on. Let's look at something that's not on here called Nova Grid. So let's look for grid here. Nothing. Great. But if we're looking for grid in base resource, it works. Look at this. So what we would do later is add a little button that says untag this, so I'm still looking at grid, but outside of the tag, the base resource thing. So obviously this user interface needs a ton of love, but look at that.
One quick note before signing off. We're on a stream right now, so all of his requests are like triple or maybe 8 times as slow as they would be.
Yeah.
In production, I think most people can expect like AJAX requests to be around 100 milliseconds, between 50 milliseconds and 200 milliseconds. And it generally feels pretty snappy in a decent production server, where right now everything feels a little laggy. But even saying that, the nice UI touch to add is all the wire loading stuff, which we haven't touched on yet, but it looks like you might have even done. But like if I were to build this, and I would want I would want when Livewire is in a waiting state to kind of mute out all the results so we know it's in a waiting state.
This is all I have right now. It's just this whole wire loading just shows loading text.
Yep.
So yeah. All right, and that's a great note. One of the things I'm going to do, probably not on a stream, is figure out what. It's not that Vue is a problem on this page. It's the fact that I still have Vue code running on this, and so they're kind of conflicting with each other. So I'll get that out of the way. Okay, anything else that I? So we have finished search component, including easy removing currently filtered tag. There's going to be if searching on recent popular page, boot over to all page, and then I feel like there's one other big thing we want to do. Auto suggest drop down with Alpine ? On search. Sweet. Caleb, this was friggin' fantastic. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your help. And thanks for Livewire, which is really a joy to work with. So just so everyone knows, Nova Packages is currently closed source because we were thinking about at some point turning it into an actual marketplace. But we decided yesterday that we're going to flatten out the history and put the whole thing public. So if you're watching this playback, you can actually go to github.com/titanco/Nova Packages. And if you're hanging out right now, it'll be a couple hours, but it will all be live. You all can contribute if you want. No responsibility to do that. But I wanted to have like a production Livewire app available, open source to the community. So that's why I decided we were going to do this. So, all right. Thanks, Caleb. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me. Y'all. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ta-ta. For now.